Buddy, our advice group on Facebook, those of you watching me on Twitter, those of you watching on LinkedIn, and those of you watching on Credit TV on YouTube. Good morning to you. My name is Jeremy Deysach, and I am a FICO certified credit coach with Credilife Financial Wellness. And I wanted to drop in. I think this is something I want to start as a weekly update. We run a lot of free credit repair advice, we run a lot of resources at no charge for consumers who are looking to improve their credit. So, what I'm going to start doing, which I thought would be fun today just because it was a big news day, I'm going to start doing a weekly newscast of credit news. So, this is going to be credit news today for June 23rd. 2023. And this is something I think I'm going to start doing weekly, probably on Friday mornings, just to keep people in the know. For those of you who are looking to improve your credit and get good up-to-date credit information, I thought I'd do this as an additional free service for you. So if you're one of my clients at Credilife, hey, I'm encouraging you to tune into this. And if you are somebody just looking at their own credit and you're not necessarily working with Credilife, that's fine. This information is for you too, free of charge. So there are a few big stories that came out today. On the credit repair and credit side of things. So, without any further ado, let's kick it off right away. So, we're going to start with the first story. There is a credit card crackdown taking place, and this is the CFPB. This is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and this is according to Reuters. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau right now is looking to crack down on fees on credit cards and such because they have found through their sourcing, and those of you who've had credit struggles may realize this, they found through their sourcing that people who have worse credit or lower credit scores, credit challenged people, are paying a lot more in credit card fees for the same services. To have just a basic credit card, they're finding that the average fee for a person is, with good credit, it's somewhere in the $6 to $8 range, and for people who have poor credit, fees like late fees and stuff that are closer to $46 right now. So what they're looking to do, they're looking to get rid of junk fees. The CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, is looking to cap and eliminate junk fees on credit cards, late fees, annual fees, things like that. One of the latest news, they're proposing capping late fees at $8. That's less than 1/3 of what their current levels are. And I'll keep you in tune as far as that goes. But that's good news for those of you who are looking to repair your credit, looking to improve your credit, get back on board with some new cards. That's about to become cheaper for you. So that's one of the latest CFPB pieces of news. That's their credit card fee crackdown. Now, I want to show you another piece of news from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Those of you who are living in the South. If you're in North Carolina, South Carolina, you're in Alabama, you're in Georgia, you're in Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Oklahoma. The CFPB has found, and this is according to American Banker magazine. Here, let me get this up for you. This is some of the latest. According to American Banker magazine, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has actually discovered that consumers who are in the South are facing banking deserts, meaning banks are leaving, they're fleeing the South, and they're reducing what they'll lend. But they're also finding higher rates for those of you living in the South. So for someone like me who's in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Minnesota happens to have the highest national average credit score. Okay. And they're finding that people in the South are paying different rates, considerably higher rates than someone like me who's living in the North. Now, you and I could have the same credit score, but just due to our geographic location, they're paying more down in the South. And so this actually drives home, this is American Banker magazine, this drives home the fact that if you're down in the South, if you're living in Florida, you're living in Texas, you're in Louisiana, Mississippi, you're in Arkansas, if you are in Alabama, if you are in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, it's more important than ever to improve that credit score and improve that credit profile, because for the same financing, could be automotive, could be credit card, could be home mortgage, they're finding that people in the South are being faced with much higher interest rates. So obviously the way to combat that, get your credit score, get your credit profile as high as possible. But that's one of the things that came out this week in the credit news as well. All right, so we're going to hop back in here. Now, I want to change to something, wow, something that I never thought would be talking about. Um, so the American courts. The Federal Trade Commission had something brought in front of the American courts system, and there's something called redlining. Redlining is a discriminatory practice. It's where you essentially take an area of the map and you draw a red line about it. It's going to be the inner city. It's going to be in the poor neighborhoods, and you draw a red line and you decide we're not going to lend to anybody inside that red circle. Okay, it's straight discrimination, economic and racial. They'll take mostly black neighborhoods, draw a circle around it, and not lend there. Now, that for a long time has been flat out illegal. When I first got into the mortgage industry back in the 90s, it was deemed illegal back then. Well, unfortunately, let's pull this up. Unfortunately, this is Investopedia. Unfortunately, the Federal Trade Commission just weighed in supporting the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in a legal battle to reinstate the anti-redlining rule. Quite simply put, the courts have struck down the redlining rule, meaning the courts found in favor of discrimination and racism. It is now perfectly legal, the way it's reading, for a bank, when it comes to mortgages and such, to literally hang a sign up that says whites only. It's disgusting. It's bad business. It's horrifying, and it's big, big news. So that's something that we at Credilife obviously don't support. We want to back up the CFPB on this. We want to back up the Federal Trade Commission, and I will officially state our position that anyone who's looking to eliminate redlining laws, which are consumer protections, any financial institutions that encourage racism or will allow this, we're not going to advise people to, we're not going to work with, and I'll be the first to say that we will publicly condemn. Okay, but this right now, it was taken away. It was struck down by the courts, and the Federal Trade Commission, which is consumer protection, as well as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is consumer protection, are fighting tooth and nail back against this. The U.S. courts have struck this down. The regulators are arguing right now the rule struck down by the federal court in February here erroneously opened the door for lenders to hang up whites only signs. I mean, it's disgusting, it's horrible, and it's got no place anywhere, let alone the year 2023. So once again, this is one of the situations where we're going to monitor this closely. We're also going to make sure that the advice that we give you is going to be predicated on openness and fairness in the free credit repair advice and at Credilife. All right, changing gears, but talking about credit repair. Latest news here, Lexington Law and Credit.com. Those are both owned by the same company. That company is called Progrexion, okay? Lexington Law, which is the biggest credit repair service in the entire country, just based on overall ad volume. Lexington Law and Credit.com have declared bankruptcy. They were fined $2.7 billion, Lexington Law was, from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for wrongdoings, for bad dealings, not taking care of the customers like they're supposed to, making promises they don't deliver on, and things like that. So they were hit with a $2.7 billion, that's with a big B, $1 billion fine from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and it drove them to bankruptcy. So if you're currently working with Lexington Law, I don't know what the future has. They might just shut the door tomorrow. They're in bankruptcy. God knows what's going to happen. It's never good. And obviously, they didn't get there by doing the right things for clients. But that's huge news. So Progrexion has filed for bankruptcy over that $2.7 billion CFPB claim. They lost a court decision on litigation that was brought against them from the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is the consumer protection watchdog. And so, if you're with Lexington Law, it's obviously time to start looking elsewhere. That's big news, especially for someone like me at Credilife. And then lastly, a technique that's often recommended for credit repair is pay for delete. A lot of people will tell you pay for delete. Now, if you know any of us from Credilife, or if you're in the free credit repair advice group, you'll always hear us saying the first step isn't pay for delete, the first step's investigation. And I've got other videos that'll explain why. But right now, according to US News and World Report, they've done an article on the fact that while pay for delete can work with the occasional collection company, do not expect the original creditor to cooperate with this, meaning do not expect them to give the the collection company the go ahead. Don't expect them to give the go ahead on a pay for delete. And basically, they don't expect them to cooperate, is what it comes down to. Here's the thing with pay for delete. Now, with pay for delete, that is the only leverage that bank, that company has over you. But the other reason that a lot of companies, in fact, most companies will not do a pay for delete is that, simply put, it violates their contract with their credit reporting company, the company that they use to report to your credit. They file a contract, or they sign a contract within the beginning saying, hey, we're only going to provide true, accurate, and factual and correct information to the credit bureaus. And then if they go back to delete it, they're essentially going back and going, oh, just kidding. They're saying, oh, this person owes us money. They're a deadbeat. They didn't pay. And then they're going back going, just kidding. Please delete it. So it violates their contract because one of the two is clearly not true. Either it factually took place or it didn't. So don't expect pay for delete to be the first step to improving your credit score. The other reason you don't want to rely on that to improve your credit score is all you're doing is eliminating the negative, but you're not doing anything to push you forward. That's done through credit advancement and such. All right. So our big news stories today, again, credit news, the CFPB credit card fee crackdown. They're trying to reduce that to make it less expensive for people in the lower credit tiers to obtain credit. And so you're not getting punished by, on average, a $46 late fee nationally. That's pretty brutal. While the richies, or the people with the good credit, they're only paying on average $8. Credit card crackdown from the CFPB on junk fees. The CFPB has found that consumers in the South are facing overall higher interest rates in general, so it's never been more important to get your credit in good shape to save money. The big one, the anti-redlining law, was struck down by the courts, so the Federal Trade Commission and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau are fighting tooth and nail to try to get that anti-redlining law, basically that anti-discrimination law, back in place. At Credilife, and myself, Jeremy Deysach, as a credit coach, I fully support the disbarment of any kind of redlining. I think it's disgusting, and it's essentially tantamount to letting them hang up a whites only sign in a bank. And I think that's disgusting. We will never advise you to use any company that supports the other side of that. We stand with the Federal Trade Commission and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau on protecting equal access to credit, regardless of who you are, where you live, or whatnot. Big news, Lexington Law and Credit.com, they are bankrupt. They got fined $2.7 billion. And then the last piece of news that was from US News and World Report was pay for delete really isn't a viable way to raise your credit report. Okay, or your credit score. All right, so once again, I'm Jeremy Deysach, FICO certified credit coach and the founder of the free credit repair advice group on Facebook. If you'd like to schedule a consultation, I'm hooked up to my cell phone as well. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Technical difficulties on my first news broadcast, right? If you'd like to book a consultation, no obligation, directly with me, you can do so by going to the link below. It's www.bookcredilife.com. bookcoachjeremy.com. Do a no obligation consultation call. We will talk about your credit. We'll talk about your goals, put together a plan, steps, and action items to get you there. www.bookcoachjeremy.com. Again, I am Jeremy Deysach, FICO certified credit coach, founder of the Free Credit Repair Advice Group on Facebook, and senior coach with Credilife. I thank you for joining me for the weekly credit news update. I'm going to start doing this every Friday, I think, to give you all the latest and greatest news. I'll leave this in the groups and on the pages for replay. So if you've come in late, definitely welcome and go back and watch it. And if you like this type of stuff, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you give likes and do all the things. Thanks a lot. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and